Well, now to those angry Australians who are demanding justice, fed up with insurance companies who they say have turned their back on them. So they've taken to the streets looking for a fair go.
Pay up. It's unfair and we deserve our money.
The insurers don't see this. They don't see the devastation that emotionally the impact it has on all of us.
So you've been paying premium today to be told we don't want to talk to you?
That's amazing, you know, and a customer for 18 years.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it?
Now! This is the Current Affair Insurance Fightback. It's a busload of flood victims who've lost everything in the disaster, only to find that the very organisations they were relying on to save them, the insurance companies, have dumped them.
Everyone on this bus has been denied help or is now struggling to get an answer from their insurer. So today everyone's on board to put a human face behind all that policy fine print.
This was our home for 18 years, almost 20 years, and it's gone.
It's people like Matt and Dana and Melissa, who's having a baby in 8 weeks.
Just show some compassion. This is such a hard time for everybody.
These insurance companies that are turning their backs on local communities are absolutely the scum of the earth as far as we're concerned.
Joining us on the bus is President of the United Retail Federation, Scott Driscoll.
Today is about the little man fighting back to make sure that we get our fair share.
First stop, the Brisbane headquarters of CGU.
Gutless, un-Australian.
I mean, they didn't even have the guts to come out and see our place. They rang us by phone and said they wouldn't cover us.
They thought they were covered, but Laurie and Dirk Galbraith are on their own. Their daughter Sheridan makes this plea.
Just give us a couple of grand so we can rebuild this house and still live here.
Then there's Pat Oldham, who had just built this home and also thought she was covered.
When I rang them to start putting a claim in, before I could give them my policy number, they said, no, we're not paying for floods.
Just wondered if there's anyone from CGU who might like to come out and talk to them. Upstairs, no one was available to talk, but a CGU spokesman later told us it was made clear within their policies that they don't provide cover for flood, and any unhappy customers could apply for a review.
I'm financially wrecked.
Millie Rantle bought her home with a loan from the NAB. She says the bank insisted she insure with Allianz. Now, Allianz tell her she's not covered for flood.
I had no choice. It's just left me nowhere.
Allianz refuses to discuss Millie's case. Worse still, 2 days before the flood, she retired and didn't even have a chance to register for the pension.
No pension, no income, no insurance.
It was just like someone had grabbed your home, tipped it upside down, shook it about and thrown a heap of mud all over it.
Worried they weren't covered for flood, Warren and Susan Earle called their insurer, ComInsure, a week before the devastation hit and say no one could tell them.
And I'm asking you for a yes, no, you can't give it to me. I read the policy, my interpretation, your interpretation, we're still at an I don't know stage.
If you don't stand up for yourself, then no one will.
Outside the Commonwealth Bank, radio star Emily Jade O'Keefe joins Susan and Warren to campaign for a fair go.
What do we want? Justice. And when do we want it? Now.
But when Warren and Scott Driscoll attempt to ask questions, bank staff show them the door.
You just aren't prepared to help? So that's the comms position. Bank of the people.
Susan and Warren have received a $5,000 emergency payment from the Commonwealth, and the banks announced a $50 million compassionate fund to help customers like them who thought they were covered for flood damage but aren't.
RACQ, not true blue. Is there someone who can talk to him?
Unfortunately, not at the moment.
All Matt and Dana want is an answer. Will RACQ pay up or not? But they say no one has called them back.
We're living in a carport at the moment, so it's been really quite tough, as you can imagine.
While the RACQ has given $10 million in compassionate assistance, it says it will only discuss each claim that's made directly with its customers.
All I'm asking
is for them to put some compassion in their policy, some compassion in the people they employ to come and talk to us.
Ipswich Mayor Paul Pasali joined us outside Amy, where once again no one could talk to us.
Okay, have you got a representative here we could talk to?
We may have up in our How can someone come in and stand in the middle of my lounge room and tell me it was a riverine versus a drain water damage effect? How can they do that?
When Abby Meadows renewed her policy with Amy last year, she was told she was covered for flood, but now Abby's being told she's not. And yet, in a statement, Amy told us their policies specified they don't cover for riverine flood damage, and that's why they're cheaper.
I would ask them why. Why are you putting people through this when we've all been through a natural disaster anyway? Why?
Do you think it's fair, all this fine print?
That's all I can really talk about. Thanks very much.
Thank you for your time.
The door was closed at this NRMA office, much to the horror of their customers, Ian and Lisa Bush.
I was just in limbo, not knowing, trying to find the money to fix and rebuild the house with nothing.
NRMA tell us their policy provides cover for stormwater runoff and flash flooding, and they're reviewing claims as quickly as possible. But Jane Batham says they can't tell her if she's covered for up to 6 weeks.
I've got a photo that shows the water coming out of the stormwater drains. The water didn't come from the river, it came up to the stormwater drains.
The insurance industry has created its own crisis. It's a disgrace. They're un-Australian, and quite frankly, they need to be ridden out of town if they're not prepared to hold their own and pay up when the time is right.
Yeah, good on them for standing up for themselves, and our insurance fight back will be continuing. Now, the battle for our shopping dollars